going to be talking about how I met Mohanji. A lot of people met him in similar ways through through Shirdi Sai Baba or through the Paramahansa Yogananda blogs, or sometimes bumping into him in person. But everybody has their unique story, and I'm hoping that this will spark something within someone and help in some way. I know that I get inspired when I talk about Mohanji and tell my story. It kind of increases my conviction, it increases my faith, because some miraculous things have happened that are undeniable. So it gives me increase in hope and faith and conviction. And when I listen to other people's stories as well, it also gives me the same thing, So I'm hoping that can happen for other people. So let's see. When my Acharya sister Jaya Mukund suggested this topic, I said, "Yeah, I love talking about Mohanji." And I'm not sure exactly who the audience is, but it's probably a lot of my friends, brothers, and sisters who have met Mohanji. Perhaps there are some people who have not met Mohanji. So I'm hoping whatever that I say will be helpful to everyone. Now, I don't know what I'm going to say. I haven't rehearsed this. So I'm going to just have faith that what I do say will be what is helpful. So I wanted to start out by talking about where I was and what kind of situation I was in when I met Mohanji. This was in 2015, and I had some kind of rough times. My husband was very stressed out with his work and us getting all of our kids up and out of high school, and I was having a tough time at work. We had been taken over by a different company and underpaid, a lot of different things. And I was striving and fighting for us to be paid what we were needed. And it got to be that in that whole process, I lost my connection to myself and how I like to operate in the world. I felt that I wasn't myself anymore. I just didn't feel good going to work. I wasn't really feeling the joy of life or anything. I know that I really enjoyed connecting with the patients that I served at the hospital. I do ultrasound. Those are small slices in time, and I held on to that. But I was very unhappy. So I decided to take a job as a traveling ultrasonographer, and I took a job in Northern California. That during that time, I brought Autobiography of a Yogi with me because I had tried to read that book several times, and I always want to read all the details. I was trying to read all the subtitles and everything, and I would get bogged down. Had never been able to finish it, and I had tried several times over the last 20 years. So, uh, my new position working at a hospital and clinic in Northern California, when I went home, my free time was completely my own. I had no other responsibilities. I also ended up with a spiritually inclined roommate through an Airbnb that I rented, where I was sharing her apartment with her. So that was fortunate. But I was able to finish Autobiography of a Yogi, and I got really enthralled with the whole idea that there was the Babaji still could materialize and existed, and I very much resonated with Paramahansa Yogananda's um, story and everything that happened there. So after reading this, I was so inspired that I I just felt this deep urge inside me, to connect uh, with a master. And I knew that I was going to need a master in the flesh to connect with. I had definitely, with Jesus, I love Jesus, very good example. I hadn't found any churches. I was brought up as a Christian, but I hadn't found any particular churches or congregations that completely, um, felt right to me. And, with most organizations, there are a lot of things that they aim to be helpful, but they really are not helpful, and they keep things in kind of a little box. So I was, I believe that all masters are were here or have come to do similar things, and that is to help each one of us become who we truly are, what we truly are, because we really are all the same. We are constantly connected to the masters, I believe. Um, so I was so excited about it that I prayed very, very fervently to Babaji, basically saying, um, please send me a master in the flesh, a master who's living right now. And I just, with all sincerity, I prayed for that. And along with the praying, I also did some searching on the internet, and I was looking at all of the different people who appeared to be masters on the internet, and uh, none of them really resonated deeply with me. Some of them were, I don't know, maybe focused a little bit too much on the intellectual things and the ins and outs of the history of um, Hinduism or things like that. But I was looking kind of for a really direct experience. So I happened upon Mohanji's blogs when he was writing as Mohan. These blogs about Babaji were written in 2010. So one night late, I was on a Friday night, I was reading about this, and I was just really enthralled with the accounts of Babaji beyond definition. So I read them and I thought, man, this is the kind of person that is very authentic. I don't feel any kind of ego. I don't feel any kind of layers on top of it. It just seemed like this man is really real. And I thought, I was just excited to find someone like that. And I didn't know whether he had a following or whether he had progressed beyond Mohan and was actually teaching people, but I went to sleep with kind of a hope in my heart that night. So then I did wake up the next morning, and my roommate had thought, you need to go down to the coast, and she knew how to get down to the coast and of the Pacific there in Northern California, and she wanted to show me some of the spiritual organizations or retreat spots and things that she had been to in the past. But so when we were driving, we were weaving along the road, and we were going down, down, down towards the ocean. As this was happening, I began to feel kind of, I would call it sick to my stomach. I was having a big feeling coming over me, and I thought, this is funny. I'm not usually car sick. I don't usually feel this way. I'm not in the back seat. I didn't understand what was happening to me. And it just got worse and worse, sort of over a 10 or 15-minute period. And then all of a sudden, my toes started tingling and my fingers started tingling. And I can feel it right now. But I all of a sudden it hit me. Okay, I'm having a spiritual experience. That's what this is. I've never had a spiritual experience where I was sick to my stomach. But I said okay, and I told my roommate who was driving the car. I said, I think I'm having a spiritual experience here. If it's okay with you, I'm just gonna, let what I don't know what's happening, and but it's okay, and I'm just gonna go with it. So I just started breathing a little differently. Just went with whatever felt right, and then as I did that, the tingling and increased and went throughout my body, and it was like a rush of energy that came through me, and that sickness feeling went away from my stomach, and I just felt all light and glowy. And just as that part was happening, we were pulling into a parking lot down by the ocean. So, I got out, and I was really, ecstatic and walking with my arms up, just feeling connected with everything on the beach, and that was a wonderful experience because I had not really had a significant experience like that of energy feeling, kind of taking over my entire body for a long time. But I had in the past, so I knew kind of what was up. So immediately I thought, maybe this is the connection with this person that I'd been reading about, and I couldn't wait to get home that evening. And we stopped at a couple of places in a Buddhist center and all of that. But I was keen to get home and really see, more. Is this guy still around? He could have died by now. Something, maybe he's not teaching. Maybe he took a different course. I don't know. But so when I got back, I was able to find out that there was MohanjiUSA. It was written, I think, in one of the blog posts. Mohanji.org. So I went to Mohanji.org, and I saw that they had different free downloads of meditations that you could do, and so I definitely tried them. I tried them all, and so I was like, well, I don't know, if this is really the guy for sure, but I really feel it is. Of course, I wanted more signs and things. So I did meditations, and during one of the meditations, I think it was Power of Purity, I felt like, even though I hadn't met Mohanji in person yet, I felt like I was Mohanji, and I was seeing things as Mohanji. I just felt that my physical body was Mohanji. And so that was a really cool thing, but it only lasted about 2 or 3 seconds. And as soon as I started thinking about it, it went away. So that was definitely something to help my mind kind of go, okay, yes, yes, this is the idea. This is for real. So then one day, this is the part that kind of blows my mind, and literally did blow my mind. I was doing Power Purity meditation, and I had completed it, and I was supposed to go to work that day, and so I drew myself a bath, and I like taking a bath rather than a shower. Nothing was unusual. Nothing happened during my meditation. I didn't feel like I was Mohanji that day or anything. But when I got into the tub, very, very shortly after I relaxed in the warm water, I felt that all of a sudden I was in a different reality, which has never happened to me before. And I was me, but I was not in the life that I have here, if that makes any sense. I was walking with Mohanji and another person, and we were in a city street. Um, I can't recall too many details about that because then what would happen is I would come back up to the surface in the present my present lifetime, and that would quickly just fade out the details. And so I'd be back here, and then I would go back into that other lifetime, and it felt just very real. I do remember that part, that it felt like I was just living a different life. I had things to do, daily tasks and everything like that, just like you would in a normal life. It wasn't just a big spiritual experience thing. It was that I was a different personality, really, and I was with Mohanji. And so I did this several times, and it was just like I would forget about my current life when I was in the other life. And then when I would rise back up, I could just feel and see that just receding. And then I was fully in this. And then, so I wish I could remember more about what that was, but it was not to be. So I then realized that the water was getting cold on one of my trips back to this current lifetime. And so I just very naturally finished bathing and got out of the tub. But my mind was not really functioning as it had before I got in the tub. My mind was kind of on a little bit of a slow motion. So everything was pretty slow and just flowing. And so I didn't really know what year it was, what day it was, or what time it was when I got out of the tub. But I knew that I had gotten into the tub because I was preparing to go to work and I needed to bathe before work. So I looked at my schedule, I looked at the calendar to see what year it was. I felt just fine. The only thing is that I knew that I was not as in touch, with the current space-time continuum at that point. So I looked at a clock and I was thinking, okay, then this must be, I know that I did this before work, it must be morning, AM instead of PM. And I figured those things out, and it was just a little, extra thinking that went along with that. And I looked at what time it was, and I looked at what time I was supposed to go to work. And then I knew, that I had that much time to get ready. So fine, I got dressed, everything's ready. I go out the door and go to my car, and I realize I really don't remember how to get to this hospital. And I had been working there at least a couple of weeks by that time. And so I thought, well, I'll just start driving in the right direction that feels right, and I'll probably get there. So I did start driving, and it felt right at first, but then all of a sudden it wasn't feeling right anymore. So I thought, okay, I have this GPS system that I used during the first week to get to the hospital. So, I'll just pull over and engage that GPS system. And yeah, it got me to this place. I hooked into a place, it said something hospital. So I was like, that must be the hospital then, because I don't remember going to any other hospital then. So I went to the hospital. and I was pulling into the parking lot, and it was sort of like, yes, this does seem, yeah, like familiar. This is probably the hospital, but I wasn't absolutely sure. So I pulled into the parking lot, got out, and walked in, and it's kind of a little bit the feeling like, gee, I hope nobody else really knows that I don't know what I'm doing here. Um, but I walked in the door that I thought was the right door, and yeah, there was a desk. That was familiar. Yes, yes, yes. And I know I have to go this way and then that way to the department. And pretty much I got there. Had a little bit of trouble logging on to the computer, so. And I don't know if you guys want this whole full detail. I'm getting into a lot of details, but that's how it's coming out. So I'm hoping. So when I logged into the computer in the Meditech system, I didn't know what my login credentials were or my password. So, I noticed a couple people realizing that I couldn't get on the computer, and they kind of like were. And so I just, went and got my booklet that I had written everything down in when I first started on my first day, and I had my password written down there and everything, and I got on, and it's like, I'm just going to go here. But when that afternoon shift, people left, and I was going to be there by myself through the evening with the x-ray techs and CT techs and stuff like that. I took my name badge, and I said, I'm not sure how this is going to progress. So I put my husband's name and phone number on the back of my name badge and said, please call. I'm having a little difficulty with my memory on the back of my name tag, so that would help. So then the boss called me into her office, which I was a little bit afraid of. I thought, ooh, maybe somebody has picked up on what's going on with me today. And I was still trying to function and do my job. And and she just wanted to know if I would work at another clinic, that they could use me over there the following week. And I agreed to that. Although I really wasn't sure what I was agreeing to, I was like, I have to write this down or and make sure I get the details later. So, but anyway, I made it through the night, and I remember calling my sister on break and also kind of alerting her to what was going on. And she actually wasn't picking up on it. And she usually picks up on everything that I'm connected to, but she doesn't even really remember me kind of telling her the details. It's really strange, but I made it through that, and then over that next 24 hours, I completely, came back into this reality and was a lot more tuned in. So that was a really huge experience. I remember also I couldn't, when I went to sign my name, I was like, oh, how do I do this? I know what my name is, but I'm not sure how I signed, but it doesn't really matter because this is just a worksheet, right, that I have to hand in, and they don't care what my signature is. So so that was that part. And so I continued to connect, and I had a wonderful time through my 13-week assignment that I could just kind of go deeper. I was really happy to find out that that MohanjiUSA was hosting Mohanji in Virginia in March. So this was actually in October, I think, of 2015 that I connected with Mohanji through my experiences. So I was like, yeah. And I immediately applied for Consciousness Kriya, and so that I could, kind of speed up my path. And so I I signed up for the thing, and I think that was in March of 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So I was already done with my assignment, and I went there, and also my husband did attend as well. And I remember when I first met Mohanji and Devi, like they were exactly they felt exactly like I expected them to feel. It felt, although I'm a shy person or an introvert, I'm not really one to talk a lot, but um, I do, I did, feel like I was connected with them, and I was very happy that they were exactly as I had had felt. So um, that retreat was pretty magical. During one point, I got a feeling, and I think I only mentioned this to one person, Gita, maybe. Um, but we were having a meditation, or, I'm not really even sure, was it a meditation or was Mohanji speaking? But I was sort of towards the back of the room, and the room filled in with a white, like fog. And it was a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And I felt like Jesus was there. It felt so loving and so, um, I don't know, but I kind of was looking around to see if anybody else was feeling this. And but then the fog, when I kind of shifted my perception, that fog went away, and it was a little bit different feeling. So Um, I was also able to get Shaktipat, which is the energy transfer from Mohanji. Um, and I have been able to get Shaktipat over the years a few different times. Um, so that was something that I I remember, especially over the last, I don't know if it was the last time I got, no, it wasn't the last time I had Shaktipat, but when I was in Bosnia, or I think it was Bosnia, after a retreat one year for the volunteers, he gave Shaktipat in to the volunteers, and we were going two by two so that it could go faster, and the whole process. We were in a park with water and everything. So I was going with someone else, and I was like, I was a little bit I was a little bit greedy. I was like, oh no, we have to go with another person. I wonder if it'll be as strong, if he's got one thumb on each forehead, right? And the hand on the top of each head. It's like, well, will it be as strong? So that was it. I was given proof that it is as strong. In fact, I think that was maybe the most I've ever felt it. It felt as though my head was sucking in energy like this whole time, and that I was just sucking in energy at a high rate of speed, like more than I felt anything ever before. And afterwards, I had a real change in my perception. It was, again, things were sparkly, slower. I felt that when I was perceiving things, when I was looking into things, that that I could see more than what the eye was seeing, and so that was that. So that was. I don't want to go on and on, but I did meet Mohanji. Oh my gosh, it's 12:30 already. I don't want this to go on for too long. I could go on forever talking about my experiences with Mohanji, but this, in a nutshell, is how I came to meet Mohanji, and I would like to tell a little bit about some of the changes that have happened since meeting Mohanji. Um, when I worked, before I met Mohanji, at this one hospital, where when I would notice that if one of the radiologists who were reading my study in order to write a report on it, right, when they would have questions about my images, or how I made a notation about something, or how how I did my job, I would just feel like I got punched, and and then I would feel like I had to use the bathroom. Sorry, might not be appropriate here, but every time that would just happen, I would feel this thing as if they had some power over me, that I was getting gut punched or punched in the bottom. and that I had no defense. So one of the things I noticed when I came back from that other job and meeting Mohanji, I got into the sweet job that I'm still doing, where I do call and I fill in for other sonographers at another hospital that I love working at. And I love my teammates there. So everything was great there. But I noticed that when the radiologist there would disagree with what I said that I saw and how I presented it or how I made a note, a big difference is that I no longer felt threatened. I no longer got a gut punch or a punch in the bottom. I no longer had to run to the bathroom. I was okay then with who I was. And I would say, oh, okay, tell me more. What is it that you're saying? Oh, well, I said this because this is what the other things that happened or that I saw that didn't maybe show up. Or, I would explain myself, or I would say, oh, you want it this way. Okay, no problem. I will try to do that way. And it didn't have anything to do with who I was. It was just simply, even if they did it in a way that was somewhat felt demeaning, instead of asking me what it was, they would tell me. It still didn't have any, and there wasn't a lot of that at this new job, but I did notice those times when I was questioned, that amazingly went away. I also started feeling these little things happening that that I was actually noticing more what my thoughts were, which I've always done that kind of a practice, right? But I was noticing little clues then from my thoughts. I didn't think of them as just thoughts. I was actually finding that if I could trust in the things that were happening to me in my daily events. One of the things that I can give as an example is that I do my job as an on-call sonographer. So most of my work happens after 5 p.m. and before 7 a.m. the next day. And I'm not a real good night person, really. But I was noticing that over time, what would happen was I would notice that I would get super tired some evenings. So I would go and lie down and take a nap. And it just so happened that night I got called in. So other nights I wouldn't get super tired and take a nap. And then I wouldn't get called in. So I started to trust in this inner knowing that was happening through me. So when I am tired in the evenings, I just go ahead and give myself a little nap. And so I'm ready and I don't feel, overly tired or unable to do my work. So those are little things that just assist along the way. I also noticed that this kind of increased my acceptance. This is a really hard thing, acceptance of myself. I've been pretty good at accepting a lot of things in my life, but sometimes I would judge myself if something was happening to me. But and then not really have the faith in myself. I've tried to, I just feel that Mohanji is always there. There's one instance when I'm going to tell you about this, but a family member was arrested and put in jail on a felony charge. And wow, I was like, oh, I've never would have thought that I would have to deal with this. And I was told by the jailers that the bail would be $15,000. And I was very confused about what was happening, and it really was something that was, taken to the degree, and it was all resolved. But during that time, I was very happy to have, Mohanji to call on within myself to direct me, and I immediately got the idea to request a Homa through the Mohanji Tapavan in Canada. And so there was a Homa done, and it was able to be done that day. And while the Homa was being done, I remember a thought coming into my mind that said, "Get out of jail free card." And because on Monopoly game, you get out of jail free. So I thought, gee, that would be nice. Gee, I'm looking at $15,000. So when I did go to the jail, guess what happened? They said, "We're releasing this person, and you don't have to pay any bail." So I was like, okay, wow, this is very, very needed. So now I know I've spoken enough about my story, and if there are any questions, I would love to address that now. I've been talking for 38 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, please write them in the comments. And we have some of my family watching, I see. But and you can always contact me on Facebook or otherwise afterwards if you want to hear more. But I just want to end with the fact that what's really happened is that I have found that Mohanji is, to me, the one true thing in existence in this lifetime who's a real person, and more or less, it's really his energy more than his physical being, but that it's nice to be able to connect with someone on the physical level too, that you can see them. But he's really represents the truth of really who I am, and anchors me to who I am. But I have noticed along the way that an anchor can only work for you if you hold on to it. And many, many times through other things and maybe criticisms of my devotion and or my actions, or putting time into my sadhana, I've felt like, oh, I shouldn't be this, I shouldn't have this connection. There are other things that try to come in, but I do know that connection with Mohanji makes me feel more truly who I am, and it increases my faith, my conviction, and that's it. But I do need to hold on myself. He's not going to reach out and just say, "Hey, that's not what an anchor does." The anchor doesn't say, "Come here." The anchor is like, it's there, it's solid. If you want, you can hang on to it, and you will be solid too. So for me, at this point in my journey, Mohanji has represented that for me, and has always been there, just within me. And I know that it's one thing that I can trust in. And I hope that this story about how I met Mohanji will help somebody, or give them more information about what a journey with Mohanji is, and one of the ways that someone can meet Mohanji. So I just want to thank everybody for watching, and I wish everyone the best. All my love. Namaste. I'll be signing off.